The day my world split in two did not come with thunder or shattered glass. It came quietly, like a door closing somewhere far away, a sound so soft you only realize its weight when you notice the silence afterward. I was standing in the middle of my life, holding two futures in trembling hands, when I understood that some choices don't announce themselves as dramatic moments. They arrive as ultimatums wrapped in calm voices, expecting you to cut your own heart in half. That was the moment I realized I was about to lose everything I thought I had built, unless I found the courage to imagine something entirely different. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that life doesn't always have to be a cruel either-or choice, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the Kindness Chronicles. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that are quietly breaking. For years, my life followed a simple pattern that made sense on paper. I worked long hours at a company that demanded everything but promised stability in return. The job was not glamorous, but it was honest, and in a world that often feels unstable, honest work can feel like an anchor. My boss was known as someone sharp, demanding, and unyielding. She ran the office like a ship in constant storm, believing pressure was the only thing that kept people from sinking. Under her leadership, mistakes were lessons learned the hard way, and success was acknowledged with silence rather than praise. Still, she noticed effort, and she noticed me. Outside of work, I had a life that felt softer, warmer, and more forgiving. My girlfriend was the place I rested when the world felt heavy. She knew my silences, my doubts, the parts of me that never made it into job interviews or performance reviews. She had been with me before the promotions, before the overtime, before I started coming home exhausted instead of hopeful. With her, life felt human. With her, I remembered who I was before survival became my main goal. At first, the balance worked. Long days at work paid for quiet nights filled with laughter and shared meals. Stress was something we managed together, like a shared burden we believed would one day lift. But balance is fragile, and ambition has a way of demanding more space than it deserves. As my responsibilities at work grew, so did the expectations. Late nights became normal. Weekends became optional. The job slowly stopped being something I did and started being something I was. The first cracks appeared subtly. Missed dinners. Cancelled plans. Half-listened conversations while my mind replayed emails and deadlines. My girlfriend tried to be patient, reminding me gently that success meant nothing if I lost myself in the process. I promised things would calm down soon, that the pressure was temporary. Those promises sounded convincing at the time, even to me. At work, my boss began relying on me more than anyone else. Projects that others struggled with landed on my desk. Decisions that used to be above my pay grade suddenly required my input. It felt like recognition, like trust, like the reward for years of effort. But trust, when mixed with dependency, can quietly turn into control. My presence became expected, not appreciated. My availability became assumed, not requested. The tension reached a point where I felt pulled apart by invisible hands. At home, disappointment lingered in the air like unfinished sentences. At work, the pressure tightened with every passing week. I started waking up tired, going to sleep restless, and living in a constant state of apology. I apologized to my girlfriend for being absent. I apologized to my boss for not being fast enough. Somewhere along the way, I stopped apologizing to myself. The ultimatum did not come as a shouted demand. It arrived calmly, almost professionally. My boss made it clear that the role I was stepping into required total commitment. She framed it as an opportunity, something most people would fight for. She spoke of loyalty, dedication, and sacrifice, explaining that distractions outside of work were becoming a problem. Without explicitly naming my relationship, she made the expectation painfully clear. The job needed to come first, completely and without compromise. That same week, my girlfriend reached her breaking point. She did not accuse me or raise her voice. Instead, she spoke with a quiet sadness that hurt more than anger ever could. She explained that she no longer felt chosen, that love should not feel like waiting in line behind deadlines and meetings. She needed reassurance that she mattered, not someday, but now. And if I could not give that, she needed to protect her own heart. Suddenly, the impossible became real. Two people who shaped my life in different ways were asking me to choose. Not because they were cruel, but because they were honest about their needs. The world framed it as a simple decision. Career or love? Stability or connection? Success or presence? But standing in the middle of it, I realized that simple decisions are often the most destructive. For days, I barely slept. I walked through my routines like a ghost, replaying every conversation, searching for a solution that didn't involve loss. I thought about my past, about the sacrifices my parents made, about the fear of starting over, about the terror of regret. I imagined choosing work and watching my personal life fade into memories. I imagined choosing love and wondering forever what I could have become professionally. Both futures felt incomplete, like living with one eye closed. What hurt the most was the assumption that I had to become someone smaller to satisfy either side. At work, I was expected to become nothing but an employee. At home, I was expected to become fully present without the weight of ambition. Both expectations ignored a fundamental truth. I was not two separate people. I was one person trying to live a whole life. The breaking point came late one evening, alone in my car, staring at the city lights blurred by exhaustion. For the first time, I allowed myself to question the rules I had accepted without challenge. Who decided that devotion to work required emotional isolation? Who decided that love demanded the abandonment of dreams? These rules were handed down by fear, not wisdom. The next day, I did something terrifying. I stopped trying to please and started trying to be honest. I did not frame my thoughts as demands or threats. I framed them as truths. At work, I acknowledged the opportunity and expressed gratitude, but I also stated clearly that I would not sacrifice my humanity for advancement. I explained that boundaries did not weaken my dedication, they protected it. I made it clear that I could offer excellence, not erasure. At home, I did not offer empty promises. I admitted my failures, my fear, and my confusion. I explained that my ambition was not an escape from love, but a part of who I was. I asked not for patience without change, but for partnership in redefining what our future could look like. I made it clear that choosing her did not mean abandoning my goals, just as pursuing my goals did not mean abandoning her. The response was not immediate or easy. There were tears, long silences, and uncomfortable truths on both sides. My boss did not suddenly become gentle, and my girlfriend did not suddenly feel secure. Change, I learned, is rarely cinematic in the moment. It is awkward, uncertain, and slow. But something shifted. At work, expectations were recalibrated. Not because I was irreplaceable, but because clarity forced respect. I became more efficient, more focused, and strangely, more valuable. At home, honesty created space for healing. Time spent together became intentional instead of rushed. Small gestures regained their meaning. The choice I made was not about defiance or rebellion. It was about refusing to believe that love and ambition were enemies. It was about choosing integrity over fear. I did not pick one over the other. I picked myself, fully, and invited both parts of my life to meet me there. The journey forward was not perfect. There were setbacks, doubts, and moments where old habits tried to return. But there was also growth. I learned that respect begins when you respect your own limits. I learned that love thrives not on constant presence, but on consistent intention. I learned that work done with balance carries more purpose than work done with desperation. Looking back, I realized the ultimatum was not meant to destroy me. It was meant to reveal me. It forced me to confront the parts of my life I had been avoiding and the beliefs I had accepted without question. It showed me that sometimes the bravest answer to an impossible question is to refuse its premise entirely. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of a moment when you felt torn between who you are and who the world wanted you to be, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the Kindness Chronicles. Your engagement keeps these stories alive and reaching those who need them most. Before you go, leave a comment below and tell us which part of this story stayed with you the longest, or share a moment when you chose kindness, balance, or yourself. Your words might be the light someone else is searching for.